Hey guys, welcome to the Physical Way. Today I want to talk about why collecting a digital collection is not really the best idea. And to keep me on track, I got some dot points here on a piece of paper. So I'm going to read a few dot points and hopefully expand a bit on them. So number one, what I wrote down on this piece of paper here is you can stream just about everything you'd want for a lot cheaper than it would cost to buy. Plus there's no guarantee you actually own it. Not like a physical copy. Okay, so what does that actually mean? It means that you are essentially buying a license to stream whatever you buy on iTunes, Google Play Store, wherever you choose to buy your movies online. You're not actually owning those movies, and I know there'll be people in the comments who say, "Oh, well, you don't actually own Blu-rays. You don't own the copyright." Yes, but look, if you buy a physical disc, you have it in your collection, and unless something terrible happens to your collection, like I know there's a lot of people talking about disc rot with early Warner Brothers releases on DVD. They're fighting to try to combat that, trying to back it all up before it does expire. But realistically, you own it for as long as that copy exists. Whereas we're seeing now licensing deals with digital especially, where like the PlayStation Store, Discovery, now obviously I think this deal's been wound back, but Discovery, we're talking about they were going to take all their content off the PlayStation Store, and if you purchase like Ice Road Truckers or Gold Rush or any of these Discovery shows, you would not have access to them anymore on PlayStation. Now, obviously, if you bought those, they weren't talking about offering refunds or anything. Now, I don't know how that's changed in the past couple of months, but the fact that they can actually do that unchecked is kind of scary, especially for a collector. Now, I went digital for a long time. When I had my original collection, I put all my DVDs and Blu-rays into binders, or those books full of discs, and I was like, oh, I won't need the covers anymore, chuck those out, put the discs in binders, and that was going to be the way I was going to have those because I was going fully digital. And I made that mistake. That was a big mistake. I still regret it, and that's why I went back to physical media. There's a few reasons, but let's go on to my second point. They automatically upgrade your collection, which might ruin some versions of movies you like, such as Terminator 2, South Park now in widescreen, The Simpsons were cropped for a bit, and obviously Dragon Ball Z has been problematic on every format, even physical. But let's say you don't want to watch Terminator 2 with the horrendous color grade they did to it, and the changes Cameron made to the movie. You have no choice but to watch what they put in front of you. If you want to watch that movie on digital, that is the version that is the official cut now. That is the version that the Apple and Google of the world will be pushing because Cameron has approved it. Now, if you like the older version, the Studio Canal version or whatever, Lionsgate, you can only get that on physical now because that no longer exists as the official cut. And it's the same with Star Wars, for example. If you want to watch Star Wars, you can't go out and watch the theatrical cuts. The official versions are now the cuts that Disney put on Disney Plus. They are the official cuts. And if you want to watch the theatrical or something, your best bet is like a 2006 limited edition to watch the theatrical versions. So, yes, you have a lot more range in physical media, but also if they upgrade a copy, then you don't have any say other than to take what they give you. They are essentially force-feeding you on digital. If you go digital collection, let's look at another topic. No, not a topic, another dot point. You don't own it. It can and will be taken away at any given time. Okay, and I've got a bit of a story because I wrote down in a dot point here a bit of a story to remind me. So when The Equalizer 2 came out on digital, I made the mistake of buying that digitally, and I was very excited to watch it. It's a Denzel Washington movie. This was when it was brand new on digital. I paid my $29 for Australian dollars, and I was like, I'm going to watch this tonight. I'm so excited. I got my popcorn ready, got my drink ready, and I was like, yes, I'm going to watch The Equalizer. It's so good, and yeah. So I get ready to go through the whole process. It's like a religious experience for some moviegoers. We want to experience the movie. So I had everything ready. I go to stream it. It's gone. Because I had purchased it at like 11:30 at night, the night before. At midnight, there's something that happened with the deal where something expired or something, like a license or something wasn't renewed. And this was for a brand new movie. And so I reached out to Apple, and after a big fight, they did give me a refund on it. But I had to literally fight Apple to get that refund. And I was like, well, you're telling me I can't watch a movie I literally minutes ago bought. And then I had to fight him to get the money back because I was like, well, that's kind of your false advertising. You sold me something that isn't there. And the Apple guy who helped me at the time in the chat, he understood. He was like, yeah, this is kind of bad. And it makes Apple look very bad. But he was like, yeah, but this sort of thing is known to happen. Like there are stuff getting pulled off the App Store all the time, or not the App Store, the Apple, I can't call it iTunes anymore. What is it now? It's like the Apple TV store? I don't know. What was iTunes? It makes it look bad, but he was talking about, yeah, this thing is known to happen. Like it has happened before. And another story about that, while we're on that topic, so it's actually the next stop point. So I'll just read the next stop point. So I had a copy of Spider-Man 2 on not physical, on digital. It was in my iTunes collection, and I have about 900 iTunes movies at this time. I had about 800 or 900 when I was collecting them, and everything else was upgraded to 4K. This was when they were switching over from HD to 4K, and they were saying you're going to get all automatic upgrades. You're not going to have to worry about it. We're going to do it all automatically. You don't have to worry about it. And so I was like, cool, yeah, no worries. So here's the dilemma that happened. So because the HD version wasn't officially the official cut anymore, it had now moved to 4K. This was the official what the studio wanted. It's only wanted to push. The HD version was removed from iTunes. But Spider-Man 2 wasn't upgraded. So I had Spider-Man 1 and 3 were upgraded to Ultra HD, 4K. And then I had this Spider-Man 2, which was erased for a little bit. And it was so annoying because I was like, but I paid for this movie and it's gone. And they ended up restoring the HD version, but now I have a gap in my collection. I have a 4K Spider-Man 1, I have a 4K Spider-Man 3, and if I want to get the 4K of Spider-Man 2, I have to repurchase it again. And they said they were going to automatically upgrade it, so what's the deal there? I don't get it. But, that's one of the reasons I went back to physical media. I was just like, if I upgrade to 4K, I can choose to have the HD version if I want it, or I can go to 4K. And luckily I have a completely adopted 4K for the Spider-Man trilogy, the Tobey Maguire ones. So I have them on 4K Blu-ray, and those are the versions I watch. But the fact that they can essentially say, oh, well, you can't access this movie anymore, or we're not going to upgrade this movie, and now you paid money and we said we're going to upgrade it, but you do not have the upgraded version because for whatever reason, you have a gap in your collection now. It's just wrong, and I didn't like that with digital collection. Let's say some other dot points I got here, and I'm sorry if I keep going back to the sheet, but I am trying to stay on topic, and I'm trying to keep this to 10 minutes, so I've got 2 minutes to waste. Let's say, not 2 minutes to waste, but you know what I mean. I have 2 minutes that I have to talk about. So, here's a big one. Moving overseas. If you decide you want to move countries or overseas or Europe or America, if you're in Australia or wherever, if you want to come from America to Australia, well, your American iTunes account or Google, I don't know if it's the same with Google, but at least with iTunes, or what was iTunes, you couldn't just take that collection and move it to another country. If you moved from America, I saw there was a video that went up a few days ago from, I don't remember the channel's name, but he was talking about he moved to Canada and literally across the border from America, and he couldn't access his American iTunes account, at least the collection. So he had to create a new account and have all that, which is kind of annoying. Like, if you spend thousands of dollars, you should have access to it no matter where you go. And the fact that they're not offering that capability is kind of a bad look. And look, I know there's all dilemmas of like, oh, well, different cuts of movies in different countries. Zombie versus Dawn of the Dead, like Argento versus George A. Romero. Like, obviously in Italy, the Argento cut may be the official cut of Dawn of the Dead. So there are a lot of different issues, a lot of different cuts, like Suddenly 30, 13 going on 30 is what is called Suddenly 30 in Australia. And, titles of movies were changed. I think The Rundown in America, I think that's what it's called in America, is actually called Welcome to the Jungle in Australia with The Rock and Sean William Scott. So there are different renames for movies. There's a whole bunch of dilemmas with that. But the fact that you have to essentially start a whole new collection from scratch on a new account that's built for another country, you can't. You can pick up and go and you can pick up your physical media collection and take it wherever in the world you want to go if you're willing to pay the shipping, of course. But you can't do that with digital collection. You can't do that. here's another big one. Streamers are now in monopoly. They are the mainstream. They have won the war. Sorry to tell you, physical media collectors, I love physical media. Streamers have won the war. DVDs are slowly coming out of production. I know there was a report a couple of days ago that Films at Home has completely ripped. Jeff. Oh, I don't know if he calls himself Films at Home anymore, but Jeff has sort of debunked that and said Sony are not getting out of it. But there was a report that Sony might be downgrading their or not downgrading, downsizing their production of Blu-rays. And yes, it's more for the print ones, but the print of like burnable discs, but the fact that they're even considering that is a big red flag that, hey, this might be Sony slowly downsizing at least, or planning to remove themselves from that equation. Now, obviously, Sony relied heavily on licensing content, and if a Criterion want to license something like whatever, and they would pay upfront, I don't see Sony turning down a deal to have a Blu-ray copy of a certain version. I don't see Sony doing that. Now, obviously, they have a big production in terms of Blu-rays. They've got the license from Disney. But, Blu-rays are going to start going away sooner rather than later. And we like to think, oh, it's going to be there forever, and they can't do that. As physical media collectors, we want to ship this narrative that they're just going to be there. It'll become more niche. Don't get me wrong. There will always be a market for it. If people are willing to spend money, it's the old saying, if you have it there, people will come for it. And, if you have it, people will show up and buy it. And, if it's done correctly, people will pay a premium for that experience. But it's going to become fewer and far further between. So you're going to see stuff like Criterion really double down on like their niche titles. You're going to see a bit more of the people going towards like, okay, people said they want this movie, let's put it out on physical media. I could see something like a 4K restoration for The Room happening, and maybe someone does something with Toomey and gets that done. I could see that happening, and maybe they market it the right way, and people will go insane for it. It's a great movie that is like, what's the word for it? It's a great bad movie that you just want to watch, and people love that movie. It's a cult classic. But I can see people spending money on that. I got a copy imported on Blu-ray. So, stuff like that, people will go insane for that. But just on the topic of streamers becoming a monopoly, what I mean by that is that you're going to see a lot more ads now. You're going to start seeing like Disney Plus say, okay, we have them now. We've got them hooked. Let's do the cable model. And if you don't like cable, you're out of luck. Where else are you going to go? You're not going to go to Blockbuster. Blockbuster's gone. Video Easy's gone. They're gone. Where are you going? Are you going to go and buy all your media on Blu-ray like all of us collectors did? Maybe you will. That's going to take time. If you want to watch Stranger Things or something, the last season of Stranger Things when that drops, you're going to have to, you're out of luck. They haven't even put season 4 and 3 out on Blu-ray yet, or 4K. If you want to watch The Boys, now Amazon have a good track record of putting stuff out on physical media. So I think actually The Boys, is that made by Sony as well? I don't know, but Amazon have The Boys out on Blu-ray. So you're going to have to wait, or even in some cases not have access to that if you want to collect it on physical media. And because they know they own it, they will know you will pay whatever, and you will have no choice but to watch those ads, or pay for the higher cost of entry and have no ads. And that's the way it's going. It's a monopoly. Netflix know it, Disney know it, Amazon know it, and all the other streamers in between. The Paramount Pluses, Paramount's looking to get out of it. So I don't know how Paramount go, because Paramount's just bleeding money at this point. But they have a monopoly on it, and they know you're going to pay whatever you want. The best thing about my collection, my physical media collection, is that I know that I can just turn off my phone, I can turn off the internet, and I can just zone out from everything. I don't have to worry about, where am I going to watch John Wick, or where am I going to watch The Hunger Games, where am I going to watch whatever. I know it's all in my collection. I know I can watch Harry Potter at a second's notice. I know it's right there in my collection, and I can watch it. But I know where it is in my collection. Whereas these streamers, it may be on HBO, it may be, what am I saying? It may be on HBO Plus, or HBO Max, or whatever they call it in America now. It's on binge in Australia, but for how long? What if it's Warner Brothers, but let's say Warner Brothers say, okay, we're going to license all our deal. We don't want to have it on Max anymore. We're dissolving the deal between HBO and Warner Brothers. We're going to put all our content over there. And I know that the parent company, it's the same thing. But what if Comcast or whatever sell it off and say, yeah, we're going to sell Warner Brothers to Disney? Then Harry Potter's on Disney. And it's not going to happen, obviously, at least for now. Okay, so when licenses expire, it expires on digital as well. So let's say, as I mentioned, Equalizer 2. If you bought it on digital and that license expires, it's expired in your collection. And you have no say in the matter because you agree to those terms and conditions. And nobody reads the terms and conditions, I will admit. Nobody does it, but we really should read those terms and conditions. So, look, I'm not telling you run out and buy physical media all over again. Don't collect like my physical media collection like you've seen in other videos. Make your own choice. And look, the streamers need to be very aware that people are getting fed up at this point, and that's why we're seeing unofficial means go back up again. Not since the early 2000s have we seen rampant piracy go as crazy as it has in the past couple of months. And it's because there's so many streaming services, people are just frustrated. And we're getting to that point again. And there needs to be a way to fix it. Does it mean there's going to be a monopoly? Perhaps. When Netflix first came on the scene, they were kind of a monopoly. Of course, they had a big competitor there in Blockbuster that people were seeing as the ringleader in, not the ringleader, but like the status quo of sorts. But as we get further down that rabbit hole, you're going to see stuff like that happen. Anyways, guys, my throat's really dry from talking this long, and I'm going to end it there. Go visit my socials. My Instagram is The Physical Ways. My TikTok is The Physical Way. So the only difference between The Physical Way and The Physical Ways is the S on Instagram. Go visit those. Go and follow them. I do some daily videos on them. Although I've been having a break, so sorry about that. Go visit them. Subscribe to the channel. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever. See you later. Peace.